There was some important news today for college graduates and their families, with the Biden administration extending a pause on student loan payments. Payments will not be required before May 1st, and the extension will help around 41 million borrowers. Meanwhile, millions of families who relied on an increase in the child tax credit are about to lose getting that extra money. Stephanie Sy has more about what's at stake.
Good evening, Judy. The Biden administration's extended child tax credit amounted to direct payments to Americans raising children. They were more generous and they included more poor families. Estimates show nearly 10 million children are at risk of slipping deeper into poverty as the credit expires. It won't disappear entirely, but instead of getting monthly payments of up to $300 per child, Americans will have to file a tax return to claim the funds. The government will also reduce the amount from $3,600 to $2,000 per child annually. Joining me now is Michelle Singletary, personal finance columnist for The Washington Post. Michelle, welcome to the program. It's great to see you. I want to first go into the student loan repayment pause that President Biden announced today. It was supposed to end on January 31st. Why this reversal today, and how does it change things?
Well, there was lots of pressure on the president to extend it because people are still suffering. So there was a lot of outcry from consumer advocates, obviously borrowers, and people in Congress who are saying, listen, people still need this break. Even though the administration said the last pause was the absolute last one. But as everyone knows, the pandemic and things are just constantly changing. And so that's why they decided, hey, let's give people at least 3 more months with no payments.
Okay, do you see at this point, Michelle, blanket forgiveness of federal college loans in the offing? Because the president has also been under pressure by progressive Democrats to do that.
I don't. I think that is a long shot. There is so much on this list that the president needs to get through, that giving people forgiving their loans right now is probably not in the top 3. So I know there are lots of people who are just holding on to it. I've talked to them who says, I'm not going to pay any more than I have to because I'm going to get this loan forgiveness. Listen, you need to pay those loans if you can. And while there's a pause, if you haven't had a disruption in your income, I would say pay on that debt because there's no interest. So you're going to put that money directly on the principal. So if you can afford it, just go ahead and make those payments, even now.
So do not hold out for student loan forgiveness. All right, let's move to the child tax credit. The last direct payments were sent on December 15th. Michelle, what does that mean in coming months for families caring for children?
So they got half of the advance payments from July until December. They're going to stop now, obviously, and then they can file tax returns next year to get the rest of that money. But what we found was that people really used that money for what they needed for rent, food for their kids. They manage the money on a monthly basis. When you give people some money at a lump sum, during the times that they don't have these payments, they accumulate debt, they don't pay their rent, they fall behind on things. And so it was so key to keep this going. And unfortunately, millions of people are going to suffer. And they were working, they were trying. And listen, they did extend it to people with no income or low income, but these aren't people who were trying to just, suck the government dry. They really are trying. And it's so important to keep this going. But unfortunately, at this point, it doesn't look like it's going to happen. But those families can still collect those payments when they file their return. And if you know anybody who didn't get those payments, they still can get them by filing a return in 2022.
But Michelle, as you know, there are millions of American families that don't make enough money to file those tax returns. What are they facing without these monthly checks? I mean, are we going to go back to the beginning of the pandemic when we were seeing long lines with children and families at food banks?
Yeah. Well, they're still eligible for these payments. So you get, if they, like say they didn't get them for July, they didn't know they were going to file. So, a lot of community groups are trying to let people know that if you had low income or no income, you are still eligible to get those payments. You're just going to have to file a return. Now, if there's not those monthly payments kicking in, you're absolutely right. More people are, unfortunately, There are going to be kids who are going to go to bed with no food. There are families who are going to worry about the roof over their heads. That's real. And the pandemic showed that we have a country of haves and have-nots. And the have-nots were already on the edge, and the pandemic just pushed them over. And now they're still trying to climb up while we are still going through a surge in COVID. And unfortunately, they are going to suffer.
I feel your passion for this, especially as we head into the holiday season here, and those families always face so many more expenses during the holidays. The Build Back Better plan, as you know, Michelle, is stalled largely because Democratic Senator Joe Manchin opposes keeping the child tax credits, the extended credits, in their current form. How do you think that plays out? Do you think some form of this guaranteed income for families will remain intact in the end?
I don't. I wish I mean, it's the holiday and you want to be happy and upbeat and you want things to happen. The senator, one of the key reasons why he doesn't want it is because he wants a work requirement. With the expanded money, it extended to people with no income or low income, where before you had to have a threshold of income. But look, if you can't work at a restaurant because it's closed down, or your factory closed down, or someone in your household is sick from COVID, even if they've gotten the vaccination, what do you do? And so while we are wagging our fingers at why aren't you doing better, this was a way to make sure that people at least have the bare minimum. And oftentimes those people who are taking care of those children are grandparents. I should know. I was raised by my grandmother. And so they, they're on a fixed income taking care of these kids. And it's very important that we continue what happened with these advance payments. Families used the money for what it needed to be used for.
Michelle Singletary, personal finance columnist at the Washington Post, thank you for sharing your perspective on the NewsHour.
Thank you.